And here, you might think, Andrea, there's a big problem, which is if you're asking me to experiment more, then you're asking me to make more mistakes, and that's very bad. The truth is that it's not as bad as you might think, because think about a scientist and their work. Do you think that a scientist would ever discover anything if they do not allow themselves to make mistakes? Of course not. And I know very well because I grew up in a home with a scientist. That's my mom. She spent her whole career until today. She's still a researcher at the Università di Genova in Italy in microbiology. And when I was a kid, I would grow up with her sometimes getting back from work and tell me, wow, that was a very good day at work today. And so it was on those days that I would get all excited. I would think, okay, then I'm turning, I'm going to become the son of a Nobel Prize winner. And I was like, then tell me, what did you discover? And she was like, Andrea, I didn't discover anything today. And then I would get frustrated. I would ask her, then Mom, why did you consider your day good at work? And the answer that she would give me, it taught me a lot about how we should interpret mistakes in business as well, and not only in science. She would tell me, it's just because today I managed to make a lot of experiments. And although they were all failed, I managed to discover many ways in which my hypotheses do not work. And this made me understand that not all mistakes are bad. When we look at mistakes, we can categorize them in three big areas. First, bad mistakes which are evitable because we forget about things, because we don't pay attention. Of course, we don't want those. The ones that are inevitable, that do not depend on by us, we want to minimize them, but maybe, I don't know, like a machinery breaks down. We don't want those, and we have to minimize them through maintenance or stuff like that. But there's a third category that we can call smart mistakes. They are mistakes that we voluntarily do. Why? Because we're exploring areas of which we have no knowledge, of which we have no control. But oftentimes, these are the areas where innovation is. And so they have certain characteristics. We design their scope, so they have a clear scope. We, by designing them, minimize their cost so that they're less painful. They provide us feedback so that we learn through them, and they're done under, normal circumstances. Let's look at Post-it. Post-it was a great example of a smart mistake. It was like by 1969 at 3M, an engineer invented a glue that would not glue. And so instead of hiding this under the carpet, he would share it with the rest of the organization. And 10 years after, it was used by another engineer that was looking for a product that would stick, but not stick too much. And it became the most successful consumer product of 3M. And so this makes us understand that as leaders, we have to change our framework of interpretation of mistakes and take it from a traditional one, which is the one that oftentimes we have today, that we consider mistakes as being something non-acceptable, as good professionals, those that do not make mistakes, and as our roles as leaders of that of minimizing mistakes, we have to take this model and change it to one where we actually understand that mistakes, smart mistakes, are part of a process of business transformation and innovation, where good professionals are the ones who most learn through mistakes, and where our role as leaders is to maximize the learning from those mistakes. So we take a model that goes about mistakes minimization to one that is learning maximization from smart mistakes. And this is very liberating. Why? Because we do new things. And I want you to reflect upon something. When was the last time that you did something very new here at work? Because oftentimes it can be a very long time, up to the point that we do not remember. Why? Because we're stuck in processes, habits, and routines.